Let's make whole grain, gluten-free chocolate chip banana muffins. These have 4 grams of fiber and 4 grams of protein. I'm always a fan of muffins, number one. They're easy for my kids to grab and they're easy to add into different snacks, but especially when they have whole grains. Here I'm showing you how to add in the coconut oil and the mashed banana, but if you really want to amp up the flavor, warm some coconut oil over the stove in a cast iron skillet and then add your banana. Cook until they're fragrant. It'll take 3 or 4 minutes to get really fragrant, and then turn your stove off and let them cool before we go to the next step, which is adding in our 3 whole eggs. The eggs really help here to bind the ingredients together. Given that this is a gluten-free recipe, I do like to use whole eggs, but you're welcome to use a vegan egg alternative here. I do mention that in the recipe if you want to go that direction. We have our own chickens and we raise them with organic food and fermented food, and they free range. So I do recommend, if you can get organic eggs, do it. If you know a farmer that treats their chickens well and they get to free range on grass, it will up the ante on the vitamin A and omegas. So it's always a good play to do that. Now we are going to add in the vanilla extract. Oh my goodness, can you smell this? I just love some vanilla extract. It really adds some depth and warmth into sweeter recipes. Really easy way to add flavor without adding any additional sugar. So whisk that in. Now we'll move on to the dry ingredients. Now, this is a gluten-free recipe. If you need it to be certified gluten-free, then make sure you're getting ingredients that are such, as cross-contamination is a risk with oats and several other grains for that matter. Here I am adding in my flax. Honestly, this combination of almond, oats, and flaxseed is one I go to constantly for my gluten-free recipes. It adds in a variety of plants, gets some really good texture, and of course, those lignans and the added bonus of fiber is great. And then I added in the brown sugar and the psyllium husk. Psyllium husk is a nice way to keep that gluten-free flour combined, and it helps to hydrate the flours as well. So it's a nice play. Next, add your leaveners, your baking soda, and your baking powder, and salt. I really like Redmond's Real Salt. It has a really nice clean flavor. It's one of my favorites. So go with whatever your favorite salt is, and then whisk them in really nicely. I really like to whisk my dry ingredients. Don't skip this step. I have most certainly skipped it and sort of mixed the dry and the wet together. And you really have to mix to ensure that you don't get like a pocket of leavener, which is not tasty, or for that matter, salt either. So make sure you whisk this in nicely. Then we're going to make a little well in the dry ingredients and pour in our wet ingredients. And then whisk this together to create a nice, well-saturated, dry, quick bread mix. So don't be afraid to mix this in and get everything really combined. We're not working with pancakes, so we don't need little dry pockets. And in fact, with gluten-free flours, you don't necessarily overmix because you don't have that gluten that's forming, but you still want to fold it in and be sort of kind to our food. So here we are, folding it in, hydrating all the dry ingredients, and then next we will reach for mini chocolate chips. You can use whatever chocolate you like best, but I tend to prefer mini chocolate chips. It just helps with the dispersal and keeps the sugar low. So you get little bits of chocolate throughout each bite without having to like overload it with too many big chocolate chips. I am using parchment paper cups here. I love some silicone cups as well for reusable sake, or you can simply spritz the pan with avocado oil or some neutral oil and go about it without your cup liners. We often grab these to go, and so I like to have some sort of wrapping around the muffin. I'm using a 1/4 cup here. I like to use my 1/4 cup scoop for muffin filling because then it's sort of consistent. Go through each of them, make sure you get it about 1/3 of the way full in each well, and then go back through and sort of even them up to make sure that none are significantly heavier in volume than others. And then, of course, top with some chocolate chips for some added beauty and chocolatey goodness. And then do a light tapping here once you're all finished to get the air pockets out. Be careful here if you're using paper cups because you can really shake them a little too hard. And then look at those Oh my goodness. These are so good. The texture is really nice and chewy. The flavor is a nice basic sweet.